Shalom, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Much peace and blessings to all you sincere Akim out there that's pushing this 100% truth with all sincerity, faith, and with charity. This is your brother Osh from the Great Millstone Miami / Broward Camp, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying unto the elect. In this lesson, I'm going to be comparing and contrasting the difference between confidence and arrogance. Highlighting the differences between confidence and arrogance. Okay. Through the spirit, this is something that should be understood by all the Akim and can oftentimes not be understood because they can be conflated or mixed by someone who is kind of green, someone who is kind of naive, which we all come into this truth green or naive, especially coming from this world which upholds arrogancy and the pride of life and makes that to be something good. They try to make that what confidence is when that's not the case, which we all know that confidence is a key trait or attribute that all members of the hopeful elect should desire, that should pray for. And really, you won't make it on the chariot without confidence. Confidence is highly needed, especially going into the times that we're going into. But arrogancy is not needed at all, and it will totally hinder you. And it's a ugly spirit, and it's not something that should be spread amongst the brotherhood. Okay, so I did a Google search for confidence versus arrogance, and it says confidence is an internal belief, keyword internal belief, in your own abilities based on competence, meaning it's not vain. You can back it up through your actual accomplishments, achievements, and the things that the Lord has blessed you with. Okay? In your spirit. And you are aware of them, and it gives you self-esteem. It gives you self-validation. It gives you self-approval to where you don't need to seek external validation. You don't need to hear constant pats on the back or constant praise. You know that the Lord is dealing with you, and you don't need to brag about it. You don't need to shout it. Okay? Whereas arrogance is a display of perceived superiority over others. So you need other people to look down on to make yourself feel superior. Not because you actually are superior, which that's not the goal in this thing of ours, to be superior over another brother. You really want to be superior over your flesh and over the man you were yesterday. Okay? While confidence empowers and lifts others up right? Because you don't have a spirit of competition within you. You don't look at other brothers as competition. You're truly confident, so you can lift up the next man, and you won't feel attacked when you see another brother excelling, even in ways where you lack. You don't feel attacked. Arrogance is often a mask for insecurity that belittles others to maintain an inflated sense of self. And that's very key, okay? Arrogance really stems from insecurity because you don't really have any self-validation. You don't really have internal validation. So you put on a mask. It's like the same way how you have guys that are macho and have a bravado persona about themselves, but really they're weak, mentally weak, spiritually weak, get all bent out of shape over a woman, or can't take rebuke. But over time, over years, they create this persona about themselves like they're that guy. And it's truly because they don't have confidence, but they conflate that with confidence. They think that's confidence when it's not. Confidence is quiet. Confidence is calm. Confidence is chill. But the arrogant person needs that arrogancy to make themselves feel good about themselves. And it's really sad. But again, this is not how we should be in this thing of ours. Okay, our apostles and elders are not like that. They're humble men. The men we read about in the scriptures, the holy prophets and righteous men of old, they were not arrogant. Okay? The scriptures say, be not confident in a plain way. That's arrogance. The fundamental differences can be broken down into how each trait manifests. View of others. Confident people view others as equals and believe, I can learn from you. Arrogant people believe they are superior and think you have nothing to teach me. And that's a trait that men have shown in the past. And a lot of those men are no longer here. I ain't listening to you. I ain't listening to you. Right? Because you perceive that person to be beneath you. So you think there's nothing they can teach you. Handling mistakes. Confidence embraces continuous learning and accepts feedback. Right. The confident man understands that there's always room to grow. Arrogance rejects feedback and dismisses other viewpoints to protect an image of perfection. Right? They're so afraid of looking or being wrong. They're fragile. Motivation. Confidence comes from self-trust and proof of capability. Meaning you've been through things, you've gone through things, the Lord brought you through on the other side stronger. You know the Lord is dealing with you. Not in a boastful or prideful way. It's just, it is what it is. And you don't need nobody to tell you that. Arrogance is driven by the need for constant validation and proving status. Right, the confident man has nothing to prove. He doesn't need to go back and forth. He doesn't need to argue. They have the ability to take the low. They can be wrongfully judged or hounded or harassed, and they'll just eat it. But the arrogant person has something to prove. They have a spirit of one up. Somebody or a brother may say something and they have to one up. They have a need to be right, like a woman, right? Because the female is minus faith. That's why these women walk around half naked. They always gotta have their hair done, nails done, because they don't have no confidence for real. Especially the black woman. You got these fat black women, stomach out, right? But they think they're a baddie. I'm a 10. No, you're just putting on a mask to help you sleep at night. Okay? Action versus talk. Confidence speaks for itself through actions, while arrogance often requires bragging or dominating conversations. Right? And that happens. They want to dominate conversations. You want to be the loudest in the room because you think that's confidence, when really you're insecure, and it shows. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest. Right? And they say real G's move in silence. Okay, so I'm gonna just get some scriptures, and Lord willing, this edifying. All right, this is Romans chapter 12 and verse. I'll start at 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. So we're in this truth to grow. We're in this truth to change, and not only change, but change for the better. And there's always room to grow. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as the Most High have dealt to every man the measure of faith. Okay, the NLT says, because of the privilege and authority the Most High has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith the Most High has given us. And arrogant men can't do that because they're afraid to look in the mirror. They're afraid to accept their faults. And it can be from a lack of faith that the Lord can actually make them better. They don't think they need to improve. So what does that do? It keeps you stagnant. It keeps you from growing. You think that you're perfect. You think that you're just this righteous man, but really you are not growing at all. And the ones you think are beneath you are going to grow right past you. Meanwhile, you still trying to talk down to people and bring up other men's faults. Okay? This is the book of chapter 8 and verse 13. The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil and arrogancy and the evil way, and the froward mouth do I hate. Okay? So you're supposed to hate arrogancy. Me, myself, I hate arrogancy. You know, that's why I'm doing this lesson. We all should hate to be that way. So you look out for being that way. You want to make sure you're not being that way. Okay, a forward mouth. Somebody who can't control their mouth. Someone who always has to have the last say. Or one up, or talk louder. Some men think that the louder you get, the more right you are. Again, a female trait. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, and verse 17. The words of wise men are heard in quiet, more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. NLT says, better to hear the quiet words of a wise person than the shouts of a foolish king. You see? So when you're right, and you know you're right through the Spirit, you don't have to get loud. You can be quiet about it. But an insecure, arrogant person will yell and shout. Whole time they're being foolish. But they perceive that as power or strength. Okay, it's all about perception. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. I started 2. Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Right, we're a body. So how can you think you're superior when we all should be one? Verse 3, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. The NLT says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble. Right? Don't be performative. That's another trait of the arrogant, is being performative. You have to put on a show, being extra to get your point across, or to get attention. Arrogant people love attention. They need attention. They have a need to be right, and they need attention because they need validation. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. You see that? So it's not a competition. You have no problem as a confident man esteeming another man better than you. Okay, you got that, like the line from the movie Juice with Bishop. What he said, what he told Q. Or was that the other guy? He said that too, but he said, I ain't shit, and you less of a man than me. So if I want to take you out, so be it. No, it has to be the other way around with us. We are men of the Lord, and you esteem yourself less than the next man, so you should deal with the next man with a lot of grace and care. Understanding that we're a body. Understanding that there is no competition. You're only in competition with yourself. Okay, lowliness of mind. Not heady or high-minded. Okay, look not every man on his own things, but every also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Hamashiach Yahushai, who being in the form of the Most High, thought it not robbery to be equal with the Most High. Okay, the NLT says, though he was a God, right? He was a God. He did not think of equality with the Most High as something to cling to, right? But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. You see that? So Yahushua wasn't arrogant at all. He was very confident. He knew who he was. He knew his purpose. And he humbled himself as a servant. Yahushua said, "He that is greatest among you, let him be a servant." So a confident man has no problem serving. He has no problem getting his hands dirty. Okay? He don't think that certain tasks or duties are beneath him. That's for them to do. I don't gotta do that. You know? You tell another brother to do something when you can easily do it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I believe the point has been made. It's just something I wanted to say through the Spirit. Lord, it was edifying. With that, I'm going to say, call Allah Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Until the next one, Shalom.